Hello everyone, a very warm welcome here to Online Darts, and here we have the live league final stream with me, Phil Bars, and this week we've got Mace the Ace in, Nico's having a rest, and Chris's week on. Been a great week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been an epic Thursday night. Well, one that I will remember. 8 of the 10 matches going 4-3, 67 of a possible 70 legs played. It was, yeah, I'm still recovering from that one.
Long night it was. But welcome along, everyone. Come and say hi in the chat room. Remember, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching, it helps us, and subscribe. We are only 50 away from the magical 10K. And I've just told Mace what the giveaway is.
I'll be entering a signed Phil Taylor shirt in a frame.
In a frame. It's all there, ready to go for you all. We're only 50 away, so we'll do something special for that. But it is finals night tonight, of course. We're going to run through how we think it's going to go down, what happened this week, of course. Then we're going to talk some darts. We've got the names for next week, and we've got some new names that are going to be coming in as well.
Yes, interesting. I sort of was given tidbits during the week about who's going to be coming in, who's in next week. I don't know the full lineup for next week, so I was interested to find out. But yeah, over the next weeks and months, we've got some interesting names. And of course, as the travel corridor opens up, then we're going to have even more names, because it has been tight. There's one thing that people have been slightly critical. It's the reuse of the players, but unfortunately,
our hands are tied a little bit. Even with the UK ones, for people that don't understand, it's not.
Remember, these guys aren't pros.
It's just not as easy as saying we'll have him, and him this week. People are juggling work commitments. They want to play in it, but there are occasions where we have to reuse players.
And how many employers are just take the week off?
Yeah, but coming up, and certainly from week 6 onwards, there is very little recycling, because people have managed to plan and use holiday to come and play in it. So yes, the first 4 weeks there is a little bit of reusing, but certainly going forward, it's something that we were very cautious of. I think we've addressed it mainly.
Yeah, I think looking at the players that we mentioned, there's going to be new and fresh faces, and of course then we're trying to juggle bringing in ex-professionals, those that have just come off the tour, and those that are looking very much like Group A winner Jared Cole. We've seen a lot of Jared. We've almost watched him grow and in front of our very eyes. It's and I was impressed with him this week. Very, very impressed.
Well, we may as well start there as you brought it up, Mace. Group A, as if we planned it.
As if by magic.
But you touched on Jared. Very, very impressive, and a very mature young man.
Yeah, he's getting there. I had a chance to speak to him on Monday. I got roped into some kind of shop thing with Fallon and young Jared, which was interesting. But yeah, he's, and I said to him, his throw looks a lot softer. He looks less emotionally involved in the matches, which you've got to be. You've got to shut off. And yeah, I thought, every time I see him, he just gets a little bit better. There's not like a massive jump in improvement, because usually when that happens, there can be just a quicker slide in for him. But to finish that group, plus 22 points and a leg difference of 21, that shows you how dominant he was in what was a very tough group. Well, when you look at that, 3 of those in that group are in tonight's final, of course.
Yeah.
And another went on to dominate another group.
Yeah, exactly. Bojo, as we now call him, in second, he missed an opportunity though because he did the hard work. He beat Jared in this very room, but then he blew it in the next game.
Yeah, and he's done that a few times, hasn't he? In his involvement in the lively, he can still throw a very, very good dart. I mean, I've known Andy for like 30 years,
but it is a Bojo haircut when it's.
Yeah, it gets to be honest, it gets madder and madder as the night goes on because he ends up scratching his head so much in disbelief sometimes how he's losing matches. But yeah, that was an impressive performance from Jared Cole.
Yeah, he topped Group A, and then he's got a nice few days off. That's important, especially in the heat we're playing in now as well. That is energy zapping.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I mean, I feel sorry for the ones that have got to come back for the 2 morning sessions. But that's the bonus of winning the group. The Group A, it's the longest group. It's played over 3 days, and it is grueling. You've got to be back here. I mean, the players arrive between 7 a.m. and 7:30. It is a tough school. So yeah, that's your bonus for winning it. You get 2 days to, I don't know, have a wander around the lovely parks around here and maybe enjoy a bit of food out now because we are allowed out. I mean, so grateful. Yeah. So and good luck to them. And of course, those who finish second and third get to come back on the nights, and that's not so bad then because you get the whole of that day off, the whole of the next day off, and now with our later start, it's even better. I mean, Rob Collins has been going to work and coming home, having a wash and a shower, and then getting here and checking into the hotel. So yeah, tonight's going to be fascinating.
Moving on, we'll come on to Group C again. Any questions, get them in the chat room. Yes. We'll come back to the chat room shortly. We're not neglecting you. I can see the little number there, so we'll come back to you, don't worry. And then, this was an absolute belter of a group. I thoroughly enjoyed watching every dart thrown in this.
Well, it went down to the wire, didn't it? With sort of 2 or 3 games to go, sort of rotations, we were still none the wiser who was gonna come through. Top 2 from this group now, because obviously it's the 4, 5, and 6 from Group A. So this one, it's the top 2, and obviously Group B, which is the night one, it's the top 3.
Again, and that going into a smaller group, but with 3 places, that's one of your benefits for finishing in the top 2 of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Exactly that. It's all about reward now. We're trying to reward the players by putting them in groups like that. But I mean, Mike Gillett, I mean, he's just knows how to win. If there's a scrappy game going on, mate, I tell you what, he's
a live league's James Wade.
I was just going to say that. Although lacks the absolute out and out quality of Wadey,
but the same principle.
He just knows how to win. He's a real grafter. He's entertaining to watch. We've seen some bits from Fallon as well.
I was about to say that going into the final day, she almost pulled the impossible off. She won 4 out of 5 games. It was only Stephen Burton that beat her on that final day.
Only on leg difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we just saw that she produced some of her best stuff. And I've said this online that not just Fallon, but all these players, there's nothing for them to play in. And the more she's playing, towards the end of the week, once she's got rid of that rust, we see the best of it. I think there was a 95 and a 93 average, a couple of big finishes from her.
Yeah, and a couple of close games that she
and
lost
she
there
almost pulled the impossible off.
Yeah, I've said it so many times in commentary. I mean, they're all these type of players are the ones that get the advantage of playing on the Challenge Tour, or if not, they love playing all the open events, whether they be ranked, non-ranked. Someone like Fallon who might go to sort of like even just league darts. It's just getting
Super
out.
League or
the hardest thing, especially Fallon. She's got a little fella to look after, so her time is limited of when she can get on the board and when she can practice. So getting away and playing weekend events for her is her bread and butter, and without those, every week she comes into these, and you can see she just takes a while to get up to speed. And then once she's done all right, but she's more often than not
behind the 8 ball all the time,
left herself too much to do. But we can say that for a lot of those players. So when I see some of these performances, it's even more impressive because they're not up to.
They're doing it on a cold ending.
Yeah, constantly.
But one person that special mention, he topped the group. How good has Colin Osborne this week? This vintage UK Open finalist, Champions League winner. And we're seeing that. We're seeing big finishes, big performances from him.
Yeah, well, we've seen did Fallon go 11 and 13 against Jenks at the back end of a match, and we've seen a 10 and a 12,
something along those lines
from Colin Osborne, and on a couple of occasions he's been 5 and 6 deep into a 9. That lovely average 107.56, which is the highest of the week. And when he picks up the tempo, once he's another one. He's a bit cold out the blocks in the morning, but 2 or 3 games in, look out! It's almost like he just flicks a switch and he goes into sort of practice mode. And again, I was chatting to him and he says, once I feel comfortable and I play a little bit quicker, so I don't feel like I'm going to miss. He said, but it just takes me a while to get that feeling.
Moving on to how Group B finished, and again, another one that went down to the very last game last night. The calculator, the abacus were out, and we were working it out going into the last one. But Joe Davis, first of all, that's impressive, only losing 1 game.
Yeah, it was. Every time we sort of look at we have a thing called a fruit machine, which basically what you have in the studios when you do TV. So it's basically just every bit of data in front of you gives you, current averages and doubling stats and how many tons, 140s and 180s and everything else. Every time you sort of look up, you see them anything between sort of 88 and 92. It always seems to be around that number. And that is hard to beat because you just don't feel like you've got any breathing space against him. But like you said, it was to go through that group, winning 7 out of 8. I mean, I think he went 6 unbeaten, didn't he?
7
unbeaten. That's right. He lost his final game to Rob. But even out of all of that, there was still a chance for Jenks to qualify at one point, even though he, the opening day, he was so unlucky. The opening night, he lost his opening 3 games 4-3 in our darts. Yeah. He only needed to win one of those.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't meant to be. But Scott Baker, he'd be disappointed to have only won, 50% of his games in that group. Although it is a tough group, for me, he has the better A game currently in that group. Obviously, Jason Askew, we know we've seen 118 averages from him. We've seen 114s from him. When he's right, and he's just not right at the moment. And I did suggest that on the opening night that I was hoping that performance in the special we did, that Richard Burnett won, that it might have been just an off night because everybody can have an off night. But by the looks of it now, it wasn't. He's got a crisis in confidence. I'm not quite sure. It doesn't look mechanical. I studied some of the footage.
He's overthinking it, I think.
Yeah, which can happen. I mean, when you've performed at the level he has, and then all of a sudden you're hitting that 70-odd averages, he's like, well, what's going on? And it can be confusing. It can be frustrating, but you have to just play through it. Well, of course, there's nothing else to play in. And, he's had his chance now. That was this week. That's gone. He's not in now. Well, I don't even know if he's in again in this phase over the next 10 weeks. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
I don't think so. Maybe I don't think he's. We've got Champions Week 5, and then we
start again almost.
And we go again week 6. And I can't remember seeing his name in the list. Maybe. But in normal circumstances, you see, he'd have played in that special and gone away, played some Super League, played in a couple of knockouts. And he might have played through it, where at the moment he's sat dwelling on it. But yeah, I think Scott Baker, he's another one. He's like Colin Osborne. When he's on it, they don't look like they're going to miss.
Impressive Rob Collins as well. We've seen him a few times since we've started and hasn't really settled, but did this time. We saw a beautiful 160 finish to win his match.
Yeah, I know, 167.
And we're starting to do the best of him now as well.
Yeah, we've seen some great ball finishes. He can score. If that first start is in the treble 20, he just doesn't look like he's not going to hit 180. And he hit 4 in one game on the opening night. The banter between them two is absolutely hilarious. And, they play a lot of darts together and think a lot of each other. And, and Andy doesn't put a player forward and rate him as highly if he couldn't do the business. And, he was right what he said about Rob Collins, a very, very good player.
Always Elvis, hang tight. We're going to show you some new names later on. You never know, Jim might be on there. Going to come through in a second and talk about tonight, but just a lot of hi guys. Hope everyone is all good. Everyone loving the Bojo.
Yeah.
All good. Yes, I said they'll all be rested. Let's go back to the slides. And that is how
That's how they all got there.
That's how they all got there in a nice little flow chart.
Yeah.
And again, it's easy for you guys to see on screen how it was all done and how they all got there.
Yeah, and I mean, just about. It's hard to make a claim for anybody else being in that group. I mean, Richard North's another one. He plays absolutely tons of darts, doesn't he? Normally, he'll be playing in that weekly league.
So absolutely, Portsmouth.
Yeah,
every weekend he's out somewhere.
And then, even though he's dropped off the main tour, he'd be playing Challenge Tour if that was on. He's really, really suffering. But we've seen some good signs towards the back end of the week. Started a fair few average closer to 90 rather than 80.
Yeah.
Which is good to see. Obviously, we want to see everybody play at their best, and that's why every player involved in this is so bloody grateful that they are involved. Not only the chance to earn some very, very tidy money, but to get. I mean, this room is just the ultimate area to play darts in. It's complete. There's only one thing you focus on, and that's the board. Especially now with the referee being back. Obviously, week one, Nico did it, so I didn't get to feel what it was like with a referee. And Charlie's in this week doing the rest. Just put
Owen and Charlie have been really, really good as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tiring enough doing the comms.
Yeah.
But at least you can have you can take a breather. Sometimes the matches can just breathe and you don't have to say anything. They speak volumes. But yeah, to remain focused for 105 matches, better man than I am.
Moving on to tonight, the fixtures are up. There we have it. Two tough-looking groups.
Yeah, even with that opening match. Yeah, I mean, I had a look earlier and I was sort of trying to, as you know, I try and pick the viewers out, try and pick them out a few bets and give them a couple of pointers. I've had a great week in terms of that. We've had some, there's no real value in the individual matches. I think it's fairly, well, it's just risky to try and pick sort of big price outsiders. I fancied Steve Burton to win one of the groups, and I think I picked Scotty Baker out to win the other, or win that one group. We had it bang on the money with Colin Osborne, and obviously then I picked out loads of individual matches. I've been tipping up on the 180s. I've been keeping an eye on that. The bookers have made a few mistakes. They priced up Fallon 11-4 to beat Richard North, which I told everybody to absolutely lump on. And mind you, remember, if the price is too big, everybody, if you do have a bet, the actual outcome is irrelevant. If a price is wrong, you're actually gambling with their odds rather than it's your money. But ultimately, expect to lose everything if you gamble, because that's why you never see a poor bookie. But yeah, Jared Cole against Rob Collins to start the night off. That's a huge game. It's now split into two groups of three.
Yeah.
Round robin, so they'll all play each other once. That will give us our 4 semi-finalists. We play our 2 semi-finals, and then we have a third and fourth playoff. The reason we're having a third and fourth playoff is because the person who finished third will find a way to get into Champions Week. So that's, again, something to play for. We're trying to give every phase of this, Group A, rewarded, by having the 2 days off. If you finish second or third, then you get into the evening session. So we're just constantly trying to reward the players for their performances. Not that we don't have any non-triers, that's not the issue. It's just
be rewarded for the better you do.
Yes,
that's sport.
And then of course, if you win your group, you get into Champions Week, which is only right because you are a champion of your group. And again, we've got to try and find enough players to do Champions Week, which is going to be fascinating. We know Wolf is in there as one of the winners. That's going to be fascinating. And then of course, over the next tonight we're going to get another one that we know's in, and obviously we know the group winners and everything else. But yeah, Champions Week, the 12 players in that, it's going to be electric.
Come on to Champions Week in a minute, but first of all tonight, what's your gut saying?
Well, it is hard to ignore the form of Joe Davis and how solid he is, but this is slightly different because it's now a knockout phase after the initial opening cup of round robin games. So once we get down to the semi-finals, things get a little bit tighter, and it's a totally different mentality. I'm going to go. half of me is like Colin Osborne, and then you can't ignore Joe Davis. But I just think Scott Baker is one of them streak players, very much like Colin. I think when he's on it, and I think he'd be a bit of an outsider and a bit of value. And I'm gonna stick my neck out and go Scott Baker, something a little bit different. You?
I fancy the Wizard.
Yeah,
I just think that
I do, but my only worry is he gets off to a slow start. And and they're two mini groups of 3.
Yeah.
You can't afford to lose a game, can you?
Yeah, that's the key bit, is getting out the group. If he gets out the group,
Who does he have in his opening game?
Let's put it back up for you. So, Joe Davis first.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what sort of pushed me towards Scott Baker. But again, he's
that's a tough group. Joe Davis, Colin Osborne, and Scott Baker are in the same group.
Yeah, I'm a bit mad really picking anyone out of that group, because although the other groups just
Jared Cole, Rob Collins, and Stephen Burton.
Yeah, I mean, I like Burton a lot. I like Burton. The guy's got a game, I tell you, and he could come through that. He could win this and look very comfortable in doing so. Or the only thing is, there's always one game he seems to just go completely.
Miss doubles.
Yeah, he goes completely missing in. The rest of it is absolutely blistering.
Yeah.
And again, tonight, you're not going to get away with one bad game, which is why I love this new format. You ain't going to get away with it.
People are asking a lot about Champions Week. We haven't got a graphic, but we are going to get one made. It's not complicated, but it's a lot of information to put on one.
Actually, it works out right, because Nico will be doing Champions Week only next, because I'm doing 2, 4, 6.
Yes. But we're just going to give you a quick run through here so you kind of understand it. But we are going to get something.
Good luck with this.
We are going to get something made up. So everyone is asking how the groups get decided for Champions Week. So the 4 winners, they get 2 bites of the cherry to make the final. So Group A, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, will consist of the 4 group winners and the 2 best ranked weekly runners-up. This is done on their averages across their week. So the 2 best averages from their week will also go into Group A, because then you get 2 bites at the cherry, which is, again, a reward for playing well.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is establish the best players we can get with the 4 winners, the 4 champions of the week. We're trying to get the best 12 in for that 1 week to decide our champions. And
then Group B, obviously the winner of Group A is instantly into the final on the Saturday night when you're playing for the big bucks. Group B will then be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from Group A.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd and 4th ranked weekly runners-up. Group C, 5th and 6th from A, and the 4 weekly 3rd place playoff winners. And that's where the 3rd place...
That's why we're playing the 3rd and 4th
place playoff, because 3rd gets you into Champions Week.
Yeah.
And then it's the same format until the Saturday night. Now, the first one...
And isn't there? It's been raised to
for the second week, Champions Week. So
10,000 in prize money
for this one coming up.
Yeah.
£5,000 for the winner, £2,000 runner-up, 3rd £1,250, 4th £750.
Joint losing in the final of the Pro Tour.
Joint 5th is £500. But then for the second Champions Week, the prize money has gone up. Great news for the players. The winner then picks up £6,000 on Champions
Week. That's the richest prize in amateur darts.
Correct. And then £250,
2,500
for the runner-up, 1,500 for 3rd, 1,000 for 4th, and joint 5th is 500 each, giving you a prize pool of 12k.
And speaking to the powers that be, this is going to go up again.
Dave openly said that they want the winner of Champions Week to take home 10k, which is the same as a Pro Tour.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Wow.
That's monstrous.
Well. It is when you look back when I won a Pro Tour, and then what the equivalent is of a Euro Tour now, and I won them back-to-back weekends. I got 3,500 quid.
Yeah.
And the winner of this in a couple of months is going to get 10 bags.
Yeah.
Nice money. Great environment for the players. Like I said, if you're a player that have just come off the tour and you're looking to, dip your toe back in and just get used to playing in what feels like a TV environment, this is perfect. If you're a player that is just starting to learn their trade and, evolving, again, absolutely perfect. Players like Jared Cole, Joe Davis, and then you've got players like Northey and Scott Baker who've just come off the tour. And then you've got, the legends that we've had in, like your Colin Monks. And then you've got Richie Burnett. Richie Burnett in the next 6 months could, 6 or 7 months, win the world seniors title. Anything could happen. That he could get his tour card back. He could go on and do some incredible things. Who knows where? Mad Darts. That's another sort of evolution. And of course, we've got the qualifiers for that going on right now. Robert Rickwood won the first one.
Yeah.
He'll be in week 6.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And then there was another qualifier. The winner of that goes into week 7,
I believe. Yeah.
And then there's 2 more qualifiers.
Week 8 and week 9.
Yeah. Why all you great dart players who keep telling us how bad this is? Why aren't you entering?
Yeah.
What do you know? Can't see Miles Davis.
Yeah, Sador says, can we please get George Noble to referee? No, because we want to go home early.
Yeah, he's unfortunately George has got a bit of a reputation. That night we had Thursday night, 67 out of 70 legs. That was a typical George Noble session.
Ken Anthony Dundas referee.
Yeah,
he's been down to do some stuff behind the scenes, but unfortunately he also has a full-time job as
he
well.
runs the bar, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, is there a live lounge on Monday? Absolutely. Hair looking fresh, mate. Nice one.
Yeah, had a little trim today.
A long format, yeah, it is, but that's what they get paid the big bucks for, everyone.
What's that about Kevin Painter? Kevin Painter, yeah, well, he's...
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Cole.
No, look, Cole could always be... someone says, why is the chat always off during the league? It is because we can't monitor it 24/7.
Now, unfortunately, we live in this silly little thing where you get grown men that behave like children that post absolutely nonsense.
Yeah,
which is standard stuff nowadays for some reason. And they,
and in the first stage of online darts, not just ours, when there was 3 or 4 people doing it on YouTube, some of the comments that were horrendous in there.
Disgusting.
And because we're all manic here, we cannot monitor the chat and get rid of these people. That's why it's turned off, to protect.
Well, and the safety of those that watch it online. They don't want to read. They don't want to read players getting abused because you've lost 50p on, you lost your pocket money on a bet.
Yeah. Right. Let's go next week first of all.
Yes, here we go.
So next week's lineup: Group A: Jamie Clark, Robert Owen, Darren Beveridge, Greg Ritchie, Niall Cullerton, Mike Warburton. What a belter of a group that is, mate.
Wow. Yeah. No, that is an absolute minefield. Yeah, I mean, the fair few of those players, of course, we've seen already. I mean, there's lots to like about that Niall Cullerton. Yeah, we've seen what Warb is capable of when he's absolutely.
Darren Beveridge's throw is absolutely Rolls Royce. Greg Ritchie massively impressed me the first time he was down here, and Stack Attack as well.
Darren Beveridge has got just the throw I dream of. I mean, it is just a thing of beauty, and of course he came into this under it a little bit because it was, it's new ground for him. Listen, he could well top that group, even like just without seeing him throw a dart.
In the next few years, he will have a talk card as well.
100%.
No question. And then Group C, Adrian Gray, Dave Paoletti and Conan Whitehead. And then Group B, Paul Hogan, Lee Cox and Fallon Sherrick returns as well. And a lot of people going, oh, why is Fallon returning? Like we say, it's juggling people's work commitments and everything like that. And she could play. Yeah,
she's available. She's committed. And she's not coming in for the whole week. It's the Thursday and Friday. Hopefully, she's here on the Saturday. Listen, she's a huge name in the sport of darts. What she achieved was groundbreaking. We can't see this argument about Lisa and Dieter and everything else. Well,
should we put them out their misery?
Yeah, go.
Right. So over the next between week 4 and week 9, still names to add to this, by the way, but confirmed. These are the new ones that you will see over these weeks. There's still some to confirm, but coming in: Andy Smith, Carl Wilkinson, Dieter Hedman, Gary Stone, Jim McEwen, Jim Williams, the Joker, John O'Shea, Kevin McDine, There is the artist Kevin Painter. You will see in the live league. Lee Evans, Martin Thomas, Mark Dudbridge.
Webby's back.
Webby's back. Neil Duff.
Another good player.
Reece Griffin. Steve Hind.
Wow.
Terry Jenkins.
Well, the final three there is a
and the Silverback.
Yeah, so like Pie Man, my era, of course. Kevin McDine and Kevin Painter. Me and Kevin McDine were the first players to qualify for the Grand Slam that came through the qualifier system back in the day. And obviously, me and Painter go back sort of again like with Jenks, 30 years. And obviously, Dubby, I've known all my life.
Everyone world finalist.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Hine, I played in the Worlds at the Circus Tavern. Funny game.
I'm not going to lie. I'm excited by that one there. Bully. I can't wait to see Terry Jenkins play.
Well, we're sort of moving towards where once the World Seniors is over, because obviously we've got to be a little bit careful, but we're getting to a stage now where we can do sort of our own little Legends Week.
Yeah.
You know, sort of players from that ilk, from our era, from my own era, which I think people would absolutely adore to see. Well, you can look at the ticket sales for the World Seniors Championships. I think they're pretty much sold out. It's not until next February.
Yeah, I think there's very limited tickets. They've literally gone like hotcakes. Standing
room only, I think.
Yeah, if that, you might have to just like hang over the railings or something like that at the tavern.
Yeah, which would be great anyway.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's got some atmosphere.
As long as the Bob Anderson horse doesn't reappear, because that's still one of the most cringe-worthy things I've seen in darts.
One of the scariest things. The funny thing is, of course, Bob Anderson's absolutely petrified of horses. And I was talking about this the other night. Peter Judge, it was his idea. This is before health and safety. But no one actually, they managed to get this horse in that they knew was okay in crowds of people. I got a feeling it could have been a police horse, which obviously have been trained to, be okay in crowds of people. But no one actually thought about what we're going to do when we get it to the end of the walkway. How are we going to get it out?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a door at the other end. They couldn't walk it in and walk it out. And of course, this horse was absolutely the biggest horse I've ever seen.
Yeah. A lot of good names in there. Liking this glad Cav's back. The diver.
Which one?
Yeah. Fallon can play for Richie's box office. John Chris Mason, Paul Nixon. Having a go. Yeah, Nico said that once he's had the ops and whatever, he does fancy having a.
Yeah, but what you don't realise with Nico is his main injuries are on his left side, and a lot of people have said to me, "Oh, I don't understand it." They're only sort of loaders. But the problem is, as a dart player, you do a thing where you take them out with your left hand, and yeah.
But when you stood like that pulls on.
Especially on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally waiting until things. I had a throw the other week at my pal's house. Me, Bellers, and Wary had a good, I don't know, it might have been an hour and a half in the end, and that's the first time I've thrown in like 15 months over a long time. I couldn't get over how sore my shoulder was. But yeah, once the pub's open and I can go out with the lads, have a couple of pints and a practice, and just slowly. I'll be playing Super League, and I'll more than likely be playing county when I can. Then I'll be having a go.
That rounds up that. Now we'll get into some general darts chit chat. I know that we spoke off camera about it. What are your thoughts on Nico's ranking proposals, and has Johnny Clayton exposed something that perhaps doesn't sit right with the outdated rankings? I'm not sure if that's a fair one, but
yeah, I think it is. I think you're in a situation where, listen, the Masters is a big event. Whether it carries enough prize money or everything else. Ultimately, prior to it being extended, it's like the Masters snooker, right? It has the elite, and it's played over a long distance, and it carries credibility and not enough. It's like everything else. If it's not on Sky, it's not a bloody major. That's just a stupid little agenda we have in the sport, and that's something that I'm sure, along with many other things, Eddie Earn will change. It'll be that little dynamic. We do more numbers than Sky. Ultimately, we're of more commercial value to Matchroom than pretty much any other broadcaster, whether they like it or not. We do the most numbers. Numbers is Eddie's game, right? It's now been extended to 24. Would it be a lot of graft to extend it to 32? Not really, and give us another session. I think that's a possibility. Then it could be ranked. I think a 2-year ranking system with the way it's done now on money, makes the world's too top heavy. You look at Rob Cross being a perfect example. And the problem with Rob Cross was, as we come round that 2-year cycle, pressure was too much.
Yeah.
And it absolutely, we've seen it with Wes Newton. Everybody blames it on everything else. Trust me, you have the greatest 2 years ever when you ain't got nothing to defend.
But then you've got to defend it.
Then you've got to defend it. It's too much. It's too much on the players. It gives a false ranking, a 2-year system.
Well, I've said that for a while. Something you did 18 months ago should have no bearing on
absolutely
the current.
Absolutely not. Listen, a lot of time can happen in sport. You know, look at Anthony Joshua. He got smashed to bits by a little fat man. You know, less than a year later, he's back on top of the world, isn't he? But he certainly wasn't the best fighter in the heavyweight division for 12 months after getting beat up by a little fat bloke. No. So, yeah, a lot can happen in sport. That's me out of a job with Eddie because he loves AJ, doesn't he? He knows my opinion on him anyway. That's another story. Yeah, I think. Listen, they got around it with the Grand Slam. That was never ranked. Premier League. That's a whole different thing, isn't it? The Premier League. I think there should be a separate ranking for the Premier League. I think Nico touched on something, but
like we talked about the FedEx Cup in golf.
Yeah, so
you've got your 4 majors in golf.
Yeah,
but arguably the FedEx Cup is bigger than those. Well,
yeah,
maybe not the Masters. It all
so to qualify for the Premier League, do it off of the separate ranking.
Yeah,
like FedEx, like I say, similar to how the FedEx is done. Do it on a different ranking system, and then listen. Back in the day, when players could do exhibitions, etc., the credibility and the money involved of winning the Premier League will stay with you forever. Ultimately, we've always known about that one, but Johnny Clayton has exposed a flaw. He's not even ranked in the top 16.
He's not even seeded for Blackpool at the moment.
And what is he at the minute? A top 3 player, a top 4 player?
Certainly top 4 in the world. Arguably,
well,
the best player in the world right now.
We're not allowed to do that, remember?
Oh yeah, we are. It's my show, my channel. Exactly. We can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, who's better than him right now?
There's an argument. There isn't anyone.
Right.
But he's ranked 17 in the world.
Yeah.
He's won 3 TV tournaments in 7 months. Okay, one of them's the World Cup, but he's won 2 singles TV tournaments in 3 months.
The one thing that Matt Porter has always done, he will always look at something, and if it's a flaw, he changes it. He's not scared of change. They are. Listen, it's the reason that Matchroom is so successful, because they have dynamic people involved who were not like the old guard that were, like typically the BDO, let's say. Oh no, we've always done it like this. It's staying. PDC won't have any of that nonsense. They'll look at that and go, right, okay, that is a problem. And they're forward thinking, and they're not frightened of changing things. Look what they did when they brought in, the challengers in the Premier League. And then, the evolution of the Grand Slam. The Grand Slam was never ranked, but it carried huge prize money.
Massive, huge.
Yeah, monstrous prize money and career changing. This is the thing. It's career change. If say the Premier League, they'd have brought out a rule, right, that it was only going to be the top 8 in the world, their champion quite possibly could not qualify next year.
Yeah,
that is a flaw.
Completely.
And could it happen again? This is the thing, and Barry's the same. They always look, it might not happen again. Right, if it does, we've got it covered. And that's the way they think. And I'm sure there'll be a change. I can't understand why we can't have. I know money. We keep going about money, and the sport only has so much of a budget. Why can't we have a Thursday night session at Milton Keynes for the Masters? Make it the top 32 and make it a real showpiece event. I mean, it sells out in a heartbeat. It's everything's under one roof. It reminds me of how they had the Masters when it was at Wembley with the hotel next door. Everything was in, and you got the cream there. Or do it at the top 28 and have 4 qualifiers. Give the players outside, but it can still be ranked. Could they rank it with 20? But they can do what they like ultimately.
Yeah.
Rule
number 1.
Yeah. What's Barry's rules? If it's not in the rules, I'll make it up afterwards.
Rule number 1, Barry's always right. Rule number 2, if Barry's wrong, please refer to rule number 1.
Yeah. I think listen, it's worked out so far.
Best sports writer of
16 million in prize money. And listen, while other sports faded away, I hope the Matchroom are honoured in some capacity, because when you think what they actually did during this pandemic, everybody needed a distraction, especially if you're a sports fan. And what he did with the boxing at Maskell's,
Fight camp looks unbelievable.
I mean, I'm going on the 31st of July to watch Campbell Hatton, and then what they've done with the darts. I mean, they you know, what did Barry say about having, you know, money put away for a rainy day? I mean, the money they have reinvested to keep the players in business, and B, the fans, giving people a distraction during a horrendous time. You know, most other sports sort of, you know, especially sports like ours, let's not forget, they sort of shut up shop. Boxing pretty much shut up shop. What did Eddie do? Come up with something completely new.
Yeah.
And Fight Camp. And it was so popular and so successful. Guess what? Even now, things are back open.
This is going to be a yearly thing, Fight Camp, now.
I mean, it looked amazing. London in the background.
Yeah.
Maskell's in the other shop. Done outside. I mean, you know, I can't wait to go and see what it's all about. I've been to Maskell's many times, but to go there and watch a fight is going to be pretty amazing.
Mad. Modern amateur darts making headway in the amateur game, putting flags in the ground everywhere. They've announced the World Championships for 2022, and I like the fact that they've given it a full 18 months so the ranking systems can be up and running. I think there's over 60 ranking events on the website now that people can get points for. The belt system is staying, which I love.
Yeah, I don't understand what the I mean, some people love it, some people don't like it. I think it just gives it a different spin. And nobody likes anything new.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was part of the PDC pretty much from middle of '94. You know, and we heard the same thing. This ain't gonna work. This is a load of shit. This ain't gonna work. Oh, what kind of stupid idea is that? Oh, Grand Slam, stupid idea. Premier League, stupid idea. Yeah.
Well, I like it because you can win, like in boxing, a southern area, so you can win an area title. So you know where you are in the sport. But if you just go to a Super League or a ranking event, you don't really know where you might win a game, lose a game. If you can win a title at area level, you're like, right, I'm there. Then can I win a national title? Can I win a European title?
It gives you status. It gives you an opportunity to maybe attract a few sponsors to make things affordable. Again, these are amateur players. You know, you want to see 110 average one-sided beatdowns. You know, go and put the stream on and watch some of the Pro Tour stuff. They're the pros. I still watch. When we're allowed, I used to go at least once a month to an amateur show. I'm not going to go and watch Muhammad Ali or Lennox Lewis or Pernell Whitaker. But I love boxing. If you love this sport, you love it across every level. We should not watch Division 1 football. Some of the greatest FA Cup stories in sport have come from things like the FA Cup. No, they're not the elite. This isn't the elite, but who knows what you might unearth. And having that belt system, gives people an opportunity to feel important as an amateur player, right? Understand what about pressures, and it can give them a way to make some money. It's a revenue stream as much as everything else.
I also like, obviously, the Mad World Championship title bout is going to be rebranded. That's going to be now the global title, and they will have a World Championship played over that weekend. Again, you can see this coming a mile off. But then every year, you can have a big unification bout between the global champion and the world champion.
Exactly.
Again, it's generating interest. It's generating revenue, whether that's streamed TV.
Well, what a lot of the Belmits don't understand is that if they're talking about it, it's creating interest. You know what I mean? Hate is fuel, and Steve Brown and his team, they care not. If you're talking about it, fine. You know.
Well, Barry's always said all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. There's no such thing as, you know. Listen, what has he done that hasn't worked? I'll wait. I mean, I remember JDC absolutely canned across every aspect of social media. You know,
now that is the heartbeat of youth darts.
And listen, Michael Van Gerwen don't put his money to something that he doesn't
believing or think will work.
And Michael and Vincent,
The Mad in Holland. And
yeah, they're the ambassadors in Holland. You know, they're very shrewd people. They wouldn't put their name to something that's not quality. And again, when's this happening? When's that? We are in the middle of whether you like it or not. Well, the government think we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, what do you expect? You know, things are going to be slow because we're waiting for things to get back to normal. Trust me, when things get back to normal, you will watch that go. And also, you know, the WDF are starting to get.
I was about to say that WDF ranking event's coming back this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Another.
Well, Gibraltar for the Mad is just upon us, isn't it?
Yeah.
A couple of a week or so's time.
Yeah.
And then obviously the WDF have announced the World Masters
in Holland, and they've got ranking events starting.
That will be amazing. The World Masters in Holland. It's where it should have gone years ago. They were the only people that really could do it justice at the time. They know how to facilitate huge numbers. There'll be no redraws there.
No fake names in there.
There'll be no fake names in the draw there. And I'm excited. I know how much work has gone on behind the scenes for the WDF, and things are afoot. And I like the fact that there's no announcements of announcements. Trust me, things are very close behind the scenes, and everybody will be absolutely thrilled. I mean, what a time to be an amateur player.
Yeah, just going to jump back into the chat room because you guys have been patiently waiting. Dynamite says, yep, love the belt system. Completely agree. Like, I think it's great. But I understand from the Netherlands, some local players got normal jobs. Tournaments, I'd say. Still working. Yeah, look, the amateur game's always gonna cross over. And back in your day, that's where you did your apprenticeship.
Yeah, I mean that's how you learn. I mean, I owned right at the beginning. I owned a couple of car washes before car washes became what they are now. So I was juggling, running my own business, and playing darts, and playing county, and playing PDC, and because of course you had the option to play both back then if you were a little bit shrewd, and then traveling all over the world. You know, I went every weekend. Seemed to be in a different time zone. And in the amateur side of the game that's where the growth, that's where the development happens. I mean, and this is why I don't understand the critics of this. You'd have to wait, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years to get some kind of practice in this environment. And you've got players like Jared Cole, getting multiple opportunities to play under the lights. I mean, this kind of sort of training is invaluable for these players, and especially the ones, listen, there's nothing worse than losing your tour card and you sort of go missing. Look at some of the performances you've had off Burnett. Look at Thornton. Played in this, got the chance to go back onto
went to Niederhausen
and absolutely tore it up. Would it have happened if they'd not played in this? I'm not sure. Did it help him? Ask him. He says so.
Yeah,
that'll do for me. I don't listen. I'd spend my life and I just either horse's mouth or facts and data. That's it. Best way to be.
Completely. Ian says, is this for anyone so I could enter, for example?
Yeah.
Or do you have to be of a certain level? You talking about the mad qualifiers for this? Then if you think you're good enough, go and enter, mate.
Enter online. You play at home at the moment, obviously, because of restrictions. Obviously, I can't wait. I think we'll see some big numbers. Once they pick a venue.
And they can have a qualifier face.
They could do two. They could do two in one day.
Yeah.
But you can enter the qualifier, and the winner of the qualifier is played online. Like I said, there's two qualifiers. I'm not sure did Armstrong win it last night. I can't remember.
Can't remember that.
No.
Someone will tell us in the chat room. Charlie is in. Hope you're well, Charlie. World pairs, Mason, Steve Roy. I still remember. I love the pairs event they did.
Yeah, I'd love to see the World Cup be pairs all the way through. I think the most exciting element of the World Cup is the pairs part of it.
Was it the quarterfinals last year? Was arguably the best World Cup session I've ever seen, because didn't they all go to the pairs? If my memory serves me correctly, but it was just fascinating to watch.
How old do you have to? 18.
18. The scorpion kick is getting better. Oh, the scorpion kick is a joy. That's why we've got an extended exclusion zone on the floor here. Obviously, you can't see it, but it's a bigger than normal one, because if you stand too close, you are getting one around the ears.
You imagine him and Mensa playing. My goodness, you'd have to have health and safety. And the World Pairs was great. And again, I mean, that was 95, I think.
Yeah.
So that was really 95, 96. I was in that. And I made the final.
Monkey says, guys, is there any chance of the Dutch boys? I'm Dutch myself. Entering. If you're about the live league, that we are desperate to get some of the Europeans to come and play in this. We've touched base with a few of them.
Listen, you can enter the qualifier because it's done online as long as you can fly.
But we're just waiting for green list countries and all the jargon that goes with it.
I mean, we've got so many European players that want to play.
Yeah, everyone here with the Europeans are on the radar, but we just need no quarantine coming into the UK before they can do that. Otherwise, they're going to have to come 10 days before they're due to play, which is obviously a lot of money for them. But the European players here are on the radar.
The Raven effect. Would Coast be considered doing the live league or the seniors? Guys, not whether he considers that. It's whether I don't know if Co plays anymore. We'll find out more when we see that's another thing. Once we start, I don't understand if you know of a player of some ilk that, I'd love to see like someone like a Steve Coop playing in this, or there's so many players out there that must still be able to throw a mean dart. I mean, that World Championship qualifiers, I've heard a whisper they're going to do it like a Q score, aren't they?
I believe so. I don't know that, but I'm looking at it.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Have they got some oxygen and some defibrillators and all that? Some Zimmer frames.
You can get your questions in, guys. Jihan Artup still playing. Well, I don't know. Is he the one that scared Gary Anderson to death at the Worlds a few years ago when Gary was wearing those horrible shirts?
I know he ain't everyone's cup of tea by any means, but for me, Chris is a ledge. You're correct, Mike. Absolutely, 100%.
We're going international.
Ronnie Baxter, not sure if he still plays or not. If Ronnie still plays, get in touch.
Yeah,
get in touch. We're not gonna.
We're contactable on social media.
Yeah, it's not like we're hard to find. If again, there's so many players, and I'm like, why haven't you touched base?
Yeah,
I mean, we're not going to start.
No, we're not chasing players. Everyone knows where we are.
Yeah,
we're not hard to find.
And prize money for this is, for some players, probably their biggest ever payday.
Completely, absolutely mental money. One thing as well coming up, Pro Tour returns in a little over 10 days.
Return of Gezi.
I was going to say the Iceman, the world champion, the world #1, returns to competitive darts.
He was watching this the other night, and of course, for those of you who don't know, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights it's on Sporty Stuff TV, channel 437 on your. Is it 437?
Yeah, 437 on Sky.
Yeah, 437 on Sky.
256 or 250 on Freesat.
Right. Of course, Gezi got greyhounds, and we come straight after the greyhounds. So I should imagine, because he has a few greyhounds, doesn't he?
Yeah, so I'm guessing he was watching the greyhounds straight into this.
Darts. Happy days.
What's this? I haven't played this for a while.
I think he did ask if you could play. You've got to pass a COVID test, unfortunately, Gezi.
Yeah. Could you imagine the look on someone's face if he rocks?
Unfortunately, and for those of you that don't know, the 128 tour card holders can't play because they're contractually signed to play under the PDC banner,
which you can't play on any TV or
another load of nonsense I keep hearing. This has been under the auspices of the DRA for
day one.
Yeah. So
it's all sanctioned.
And then other people go on about the cost of being part of the DRA. It just doesn't cost anything. Obviously, if you want drug testing and everything else, then that's got to be paid. COVID testing religiously.
I get bored of them every day.
Yeah, I know. So it's almost like it's in the back of my brain now. Whatever utter absolute nonsense have I been reading the last couple of weeks.
That I'm good at darts.
Yeah, well, you used to be. You were a good youth player.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much other nonsense that I've been reading.
No. But going back to Gezi, how good is it for the sport that he's back?
Well, how good is it for the players to get the Pro Tour back? 2 blocks of 4.
Race for the match play is on.
Race for the match play is on, and there's a few players that are right on the fringe, and there's going to be a few players that's going to come out of the pack. They're all going to be rusty.
Yeah.
Every one of them, even those that are playing on the Premier League, because there's what were they now, 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
3 weeks, I think.
Right, 3 weeks. So,
but you think the ones that aren't in the Premier League haven't played since Niederhausen competitively?
Yeah,
it's a long time.
It is a long time, and trust me, it's being match fit as well. They are super long days, long matches. and you're going to see players just completely run out of steam around the
I may
last.
have got this wrong, not by many. I'll throw it on Twitter. I'm sure when Gazzy plays his first game on the 14th of June, it will be around 91 days since he last threw a competitive dart.
Wow.
I'm sure someone will correct me, but it's
sounds about right.
It's around there. I'm sure about 91 days.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I also said, and I hope somebody within the PDC watches this and takes this on board at the match play. Let's have a champions parade on the opening night. Get everybody who's won a tournament behind closed doors.
Peter Wright, he never got the World Championship yet.
Gezzy,
Jose,
James Wade, Jose, Dimitri,
James,
Johnny Clayton.
I completely agree.
And have a chat, get them with their trophies, and get them to do a walk-on individually or with their trophies and then stand on stage. Great photo opportunity for the fans.
Yeah.
Great to welcome the fans back. And what a great moment for the players, because they have been robbed of that. The one big thing, that these players, I wouldn't know, I didn't win a major, but, just parading and taking the plaudits from the fans, whether it be at exhibitions or at tournaments. So, yeah, please make sure something like that happens.
I remember we chatting to Gazzy before he got ruled out from COVID when they said the Premier League was going to go behind closed doors. I'm not saying we'll never win another world title, but you just don't know. If he doesn't, he'll always be robbed of that moment in Cardiff when Johnny Mack introduces him as the reigning, defending champion of the world.
Let's put it into perspective. Peter Wright won it in his 49th year.
Will Gazzy win another one? You would like to think so, but you never know.
How hard are they to win, mate?
That's what I mean. You never know.
I had 15 attempts, I think. Will Peter Wright win another one?
Yeah, exactly. He missed the Glasgow.
Michael's only won 3 in how many years? 13? 14 years? 14 attempts? I say only. But, let's be honest, this is one of the best ever to ever throw a dart. That's just to put it into perspective how hard it is.
Of course, yeah.
I'm gutted for the players. Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to have just won one of them, and to have won one of them in lockdown and not be able to face the crowd and thank them and everything else must be deflating for them.
Yeah.
And I do hope they do some of that. And of all places to do it in, probably for me, one of the best crowds and the best venues in world darts. Why not do it at the match play on the Saturday night? I mean, what a wonderful moment for dart fans to see the champions over the last 18 months.
Oh,
get paraded. I mean, it'd be a moment to remember. It would almost be eye-watering.
I'm just looking forward to going back to Blackpool after. I'm just going to be honest.
You can't wait to go back to that. What's that club you go in?
What, Pop World?
Yeah.
Other clubs are available. However, Friday and Saturday nights, you will probably find us in Pop World giving it some.
Giving it big.
Hi, Missy. How are we all doing?
Well, thanks, Missy. Guys, I don't understand all the politics behind the game, but keep it. It's not. There's no real. To be honest,
it's not as bad as what it used to be.
There's no internal. Listen, there's always going to be in the amateur. I mean, they're already arguing now in County. It's the UK Darts Association, aren't they? I mean, I don't know if it's Cyril Wayne's back involved with Welsh Darts, but it feels like it, because it's all, there's arguments already over that. I mean, to me, County's dead. It's dead. It's run its course. There's absolutely no commercial value to it. The players don't really give a toss about it anymore. It makes you absolutely no money. It costs you money. I'm not saying making money is the be-all and end-all. If you're representing your county, the one thing it shouldn't cost you is money. Yeah. Right? So you're saying to the players, weekend away, come and spend 250 quid, or go and spend 250 quid on a ranking tournament and
potentially win a couple of rounds
in MAD or the WDF and potentially qualify for a TV tournament. Yeah. But let's use your brains, and they're not. And that, again, I just can't believe it. What I'm reading, letters going back and forth, and in public, put out there. It's typically, although the video is dead, it's still being kept alive by some people still involved.
Is it dead? Have you not seen things on social media? It's still live, apparently.
Is it?
Tom Molinos is their main ranking event.
Well, shame on anybody if they even contemplate going.
It's not going to happen.
Cyprus Open and everything else. That'd be just about right.
Well, we've waffled for over an hour, guys. I know we've got prep to do and everything like that. Just want to thank you very, very much for joining us here on the stream. It's been a pleasure as always with Mace. Remember, 10 o'clock tonight on 9 Darts YouTube channel, Sporty Stuff TV. channel 437 on your Sky. This man will be calling all the action in. We will have a winner crowned here this evening in this very studio.
Well, this morning,
and we will grab some words with him afterwards. Don't worry about it. But I've been Phil Bars. I've been joined by Chris Mason. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all on board, and we will see you all again very, very soon.